What's happening, you guys? Veggie, and it's been so long since I've made a video, and I want to apologize for that. I've been having a hiatus from YouTube. Probably should have given some notice. And I really want to address what's really been going on in terms of how I've been lifting. And of course, I'm going to show videos of me lifting. But just a quick recap. So obviously, I finished my fat loss phase, came in really lean. I lost a lot of size, which was my biggest concern, really, which always happens with fat loss. And it really showed out my smaller muscle groups. Now, judging from the posing video, if you guys haven't seen it, it's my last video, you could clearly see when it comes to weaker muscle groups, my weaker muscle groups are my biceps and triceps. So to counteract that, I've actually been recording my form on some of the lifts, seeing how I can improve it really. And I've already got videos showing you guys that, so hopefully you'll see it in a bit. But as things go, recently, I've actually, a month ago, I actually tore my foot and got plantar fasciitis because I ran 5 miles using non-running shoes. They were Adidas Originals. I thought I could run in them, and I had to take some time off squats and leg movements because of that. But now I'm back on the grind. I'm getting my lifts back up. In terms of my lifts, I'm lifting slightly lower because obviously I'm 73 kilos now, and that's about 10 kilos less than the peak of my bulk. So really, I'm trying to improve my lifts at a lower weight and trying to go back to what I was really lifting before at a lower weight, and then hopefully progress even further. And that's my goal pretty much. So in terms of muscle imbalance goals, I just want to increase the size of my biceps and triceps and try different things. Obviously my split is upper lower. You guys can find that on my website, link shown below and on the screen. And I've also updated my website to look more aesthetic, which is quite nice, and to reflect vegan bodybuilding instead of vegetarian bodybuilding. Now I really want to show some videos and just show you guys what I've been really doing. So let's go to the first video. So first video right here, I'm doing bench press. And I'm only doing 85 kilos here for 5 reps, and I'm really going in that strength training rep range. I know I'm doing less weight, but I'm doing pyramid sets at the moment to go over the plateau that I've really hit. So my form is quite good. I'm doing really explosive. That last rep was near enough paused. I didn't know if I'd do it. I thought I'd drop it, but I managed to do it, which was quite good. So moving on really to the next exercise, which I'm going to show you guys, is I was doing rows. Now, for rows, I like to change it up. I don't always like to use a barbell, so here I'm using, machine rows. I think they're quite good. I get a lot of better contraction from machine rows. It helps my technique in terms of it. So I can do bent over rows with a barbell with better technique. So the range of motion is pretty much perfect here, which is brilliant. When I'm using a barbell, sometimes I do slack on that range of motion, and that's why I find sometimes machines is quite beneficial to get you back into that range of motion, back into the routine of things. Moving on to my next exercise, which is dumbbell bench press incline. So for incline dumbbell bench press, here I'm only doing, I believe it was either 30s or 32s, and I managed to hit quite a good range of motion going on there. I'm hitting good form, and I'm actually improving my weight on the incline DB press, because usually I do about 28s, and here I'm doing 30, which is more than I did before. So I'm really keeping a log of all this on my notebook as well, trying to improve my lifts every single week while I'm bulking. I have hit a plateau some weeks, but I'm overcoming that by really looking at my nutrition, making sure I'm hitting the right amount of protein, carbs, and fats, as well as calories. So here I'm doing side raises, and I'm only using 10 kilos. I'm doing it nice and slow, contracted, just getting the range of motion right, the technique really, and then over time I'll hopefully be increasing these on the dumbbells. I just want to check my form with quite a simple weight, and then progress over time. Now moving on to my next exercise, we'll actually do weighted chin-ups, which I haven't done in a while. Usually I just do normal chin-ups, so I'm quite impressed with this. Obviously because I'm a lower weight, I feel like I can accommodate with more weight on my belt. So here I'm only doing 10 kilos, just to see what it was like. I managed to get quite a few reps out of that, so I end up going for lower reps on 20 kilos, and I still managed to do really decently on that. The range of motion is slightly less on the 20 kilos, as you can notice. That's probably me trying to overcompensate for the majority of the weight, right? So I'll hopefully be improving that range of motion with a heavier weight, and that's what my goal is for chin-ups pretty much. Now moving on to my next exercise, which is bicep ropes. Now I'm showing off how I kind of failed at the start. You can clearly see I'm moving the top part of my arm, which is the wrong technique to use here. And now I'm going to move on and show you how to do it with correct technique, which is right here, where I'm keeping the top part of my arm still. I'm getting a nice bicep contraction. I'm getting a lot more muscle gains doing this as opposed to the first clip where the top part of my arm was moving forwards. So it's nice and locked in. I'm getting the contraction I need. That's what's important here. Moving on to the next clip here, I'm doing triceps. I've got really good form here as well. Tricep contraction. I've lowered the weight. I'm doing it nice and slow with good technique. I'm learning my technique before I head into the, the high end of the weights, which is brilliant. As you can see my tricep clearly contracting, and you can see that I'm not moving the top part of my arm, if anything, just a tiny bit. And that's the perfect technique really, is to extend the rope and to really bring it outwards. Now I really want to show what I did for upper B. I didn't record all my lifts, like I left out abdominals, but here is me just doing deadlifts. I'm only doing about, I think it was 135 kilos, and I'm pretty much hitting it quite well, no negatives, but my form is actually really good here. My back is pretty straight here. I've got pretty good technique, and I'm lifting it up with little to no struggle. I think I'm going to maintain this weight and try and do more reps before I increase the weight, because I feel like my form would jeopardize. So I'll probably try and hit 8 reps of 130, 135 before I end up going back to 140, 150. That's pretty much my goal for deadlifts, is to just keep good form, because I went to 140 one week and I jeopardized my form and injured myself. So I'm just going to stay consistent on 130, 135. Now moving on to leg press. Now leg press, I actually did pretty good. I did 200 kilos here, but as you can see, a range of motion isn't as good. I've got a relatively small range of motion. So I do feel like I could have done better. When you're doing muscle gains, it's obviously better to get a better contraction. So you want to go for the biggest range of motion possible for natural bodybuilding. That's what I personally find works. So that goes for all the lifts. Hopefully when it comes to squats, I'm looking to aim for lower than parallel. So moving on to my next set, which is I lower the weight on the leg press so I can do a bigger range of motion. As you can see here, I'm extracting it more. And this really is a good progression to show you guys that lowering the weight really does help you increase your range of motion, increase the muscle progression. So sometimes if you're aiming in a strength training rep range, you want to make sure you're not jeopardizing that range of motion. You're keeping your range of motion, so you're keeping your muscle progression in place. So you're gaining muscle while you increase the weight. But anyway guys, that's pretty much a recap of how I've been. I appreciate this is a really long video. I feel like I really owe this to you guys, and just an in-depth a catch-up of how I've been doing. Hopefully more videos in the future, hopefully more updates, hopefully giving you guys more information about vegan nutrition. This is just a workout video because I feel like I haven't done a workout video in a while. But anyway, you guys, my aim currently is to gain about 1 kilo a month, to focus more on my smaller muscle groups that are lacking to the muscular imbalances such as the biceps and triceps. And then really gaining a nice proportion of physique is my goal. Of course, I'm not competing in physique this year because I'm bulking and I'm already 73 kilos. That's just gone out the window. I'd rather focus on muscle progression until I gain a good physique where I think everything's proportionate and I'm ready to compete. If I feel like I'm like that, then I'm in the stage to compete. But at the moment, I just don't feel like I'm ready. Anyway, you guys, this is Veggie. I'll see you in that next video. Keep making those vegan muscle progression gains. Peace out.